Welcome, everybody. You've reached the 8 p.m. practitioner forum call. If that's where you wanted to be, you're in the right place. Today we have it's sponsored by a company called DeerDAC, and conversation is around mobility alerting, anywhere incident response for OMi, NNM, and BSM, which is basically where we reside. So again, this 8 p.m. practitioner call is sponsored by DeerDAC, and just want to let you know that we are part of the Vivid BSM Special Interest Group. Our leaders that support this group, they're all volunteers, and all have a lot of experience in working in the BSM space throughout. I mean, I think everyone on this call has been around since the OpenView days. Jim Copio, Mark Laird, who is acting as my co-host today, Sandy Schubert, and myself. I'm Rocky Tisto. Yeah, there I am. I get older every year. I can see the gray. So today's presenters is actually, we've got the CEO from DeerDAC, Mateus, who's going to kind of talk about and setting the stage for the demo that Renee is going to present today. He's the R&D team lead at DeerDAC. And, you know, as I've always believed this since I've been involved with the organization, that the whole goal for Vivid is to bring our membership, bring awareness to not only the HP solution, but all the partner solutions that are part of the ecosystem within the HP tools that we use. They add value to the technology in ways that the HP tools just can't address. And DeerDAC is one of those companies. So I'm kind of excited to share with you some of their insights and what they're doing with their technology. So this session is live. It's being recorded. It will be available to everyone, not just the BSM SIG, but that's where they'll find the recording. And if you want to ask questions, the format today will be, they'll be presenting for about 15, 20 minutes about their solution. If we have questions regarding their solution, we'll take them and continue on. But if the conversation ends there and we want to dive more into HP questions, we also have our HP team on the call to answer questions there as well. So we'll see where it goes and take advantage of the opportunity. So the webinar control panel on your right, you'll see the white arrow and the orange box that kind of opens and closes the panel so that you can see the presentation or if it gets in the way. But there's an area for questions, so feel free to ask questions there, and we'll try to address them during the call. And if we don't, then we'll get them answered after the fact. So again, welcome to the 8 p.m. practitioner call. We're part of the BSM SIG. We took this over from HP about a year or so ago, and thought it was a good place to bring it. We've grown since probably the last call we had last year. We're up to 6,500 members in our SIG, so that's good news. We're still growing. Practitioners are using the BSM or the APM tools from the BAC area stacks, from NNM to or NNMi to OM, now to OMi, and all the Pulse suite that you'll be hearing more and more about going forward. And again, I think we just did a webinar on that recently. Vivid membership has also grown dramatically. We're up to 34,000 members, up 4,000 since the last time we met. So if you're part of the Vivid user community, you're in good hands. There's a lot of activity. So with that, I'm going to send this off to Mateus to kind of kick it off.
Yes, thanks, Rocky, and it's my pleasure to speak to you today. My name is Matt Sturdek. I'm the CEO of DeerDAC, an ISV working closely with HPE. And my job for today is just to prepare the stage for Renee because it's all about live demos. So I will keep my talking short, and just one big thank you to Vivid and Rocky for making this possible today. So I will lay the foundation for today's live presentation, and if you could show the next slide, Rocky, thank you. Then we just have a view here on the overall foundation of our solution. It's all about being able to very rapidly, reliably respond to critical incidents, and to be able to, take incident management to the mobile space. So to basically do it from anywhere. The focus of our solution is really to make the mobile app a central point of consolidated alerting and mobile incident response and resolution. So what we do with our solution, which is, by the way, called Enterprise Alert, and is very closely aligned with the HPE software stack, is built on 3 pillars. So it's built on 3 basic important parts that form the solution with one goal, to be able to resolve incidents in a very rapid manner. So first of all, we have this part of alerting, right? So it's about multimodal communication, incident-driven communication. Something happens, you get in real-time alerts via text, voice, push onto your mobile phone, with real-time tracking, with automated escalations, integrated on-call scheduling, a fully automated way of doing targeted alerting, with the ability to very deeply integrate into the HPE software stack. Secondly, we add the ability to ad hoc collaborate with engineers, with other people, IT staff on call, with managers, with subject matter experts, to do it all with one single touch on your mobile phone. And last but not least, an important part is to provide IT engineers with the ability for an app-enabled remedial of critical incident, or at least the ability to troubleshoot situations on the go, and that is tightly related to HP operations orchestration, for instance, with a deep integration, so you can basically trigger flows directly from your mobile device. And that's the idea. And by combining these 3 things, we create a very powerful tool that extends the HP ITSM and BSM stack, adding something that is very unique, because it really depicts a complete mobile incident response cycle. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is basically how it looks, right? So the overall idea of combining and putting all parts together to form a solution. So in the middle, we have this kind of alerting stack, or alerting and response layer, which is formed by the 3 pillars I just mentioned, and we tie into different tools on which you can see on the left side, right? And in this case, we see 3 different types. First of all, monitoring, in this case OMi Network Node Manager 2. We fetch events and incidents from those solutions. We can also fetch events from Service Manager, but we also have the ability to directly hook into the monitoring. And then we do all the alerting magic, doing targeted alerts to engineers, experts, managers, even proactively notify users. We are able to feed results of the alerting process back into the originating system, like OMi, for instance, or update tickets in Service Managers with information who actually took over an incident. We can send ticket information to engineers. Engineers can do updates in Service Managers on existing tickets, and so on and so forth. Renee will demo that to you. And as you can see here, we can hook into operations orchestration to execute flows, for instance, directly from the mobile device. The solution has a couple of customers, quite some customers actually, quite a good number, not a couple. Sorry. So Rocky, next slide, please. You see a couple of very, very famous names here, like Daimler, like British Telecom, eBay, Imtech. So some names might ring a bell. There is a couple of more customers which we can actually not name, but if you are familiar with the HP, what HP is doing, you might have heard of Robert Bosch, for instance, one huge network node manager installation, which was presented 1.5 years ago on an HP Discover. That is also one big customer name where we are part of the overall solution. Actually, most of our customers reside in Western Europe and North America. And please, next slide, Rocky. Yeah, some pricing indications which sometimes are important for you to understand. We have two models, which is either a perpetual licensing model, very classic, on a subscription licensing model, one-time payment, or an annual subscription, which is mainly based on a general software license plus additional users and ongoing maintenance model. Sample pricing for, let's say, in this case, a configuration of 250 users would be something around, let's say, 62,000 euros at one time, and then another 15,000 euros maintenance and software update assurance, or if you choose the annual subscription, something around 34,000 euros annually, just to give you an indication of, how this is actually licensed and what kind of pricing it would apply. To make sure that you understand, this is an enterprise scale solution. So we really target large enterprises with the solution. So this is no SME cloud service type of stuff, but it really is an on-premise solution. I mean, you can run it on a virtual machine in the cloud too, but it is a classic on-premise solution for various reasons, in particular for the integration with the HP, BSM, and ITSM stack. And that's from my side. That's everything from my side. As I said, I'm just preparing the stage here for René, who will do the demo. It's going to be a live demo, and I hope you will enjoy it. Thanks for your attention from my side. Let's go. Thank you.
I've got a question for you while René's setting up this demo.
Sure.
Who provides support and by what method?
Well, we have basically two models. First of all, we can provide direct support through either 9x5 from our local Western European office or from our US office. Alternatively, also we provide 24/7. Typically, email, voice, phone calls, etc., etc. But we also run a very comprehensive partner model where we have system integration partners. Usually, those are HP partners. And they do support for our solution too. So we have a certification model where we become something we call DIRDAC certified professionals, and it's some kind of training and exercise and action model, and then they can provide support too, locally, for instance, in Germany, Switzerland, UK, United States.
Okay, great. So we don't have to go to Costa Rica?
No.
Just kidding.
Not necessarily. but I do think we have a partner there.
Okay. All right, I think we can go to the demo.
Yeah, guys, if you can confirm that you can see the screen, you can see my desktop, right?
Yes, all good.
That's awesome. Okay, guys,
Beautiful
then I would like to kick this off with a short introduction to my environment, to my demo scenario. So there is a couple of topics that I cover in my IT environment that you can see here on the screen. So monitoring is proudly covered here in my demo today by HP Network Node Manager that you should see here in this window. Then there's some service desk activities, right? IT service management, like incident tracking, general CMDB stuff that we, of course, do with HPSM here in this lab. Then there is the whole topic of my IT and data center automation, which is, as Matthias introduced, that you covered by HP Operations Orchestration that you can see in this window. And here you can already recognize that I have augmented HPOO in the sense that I have registered and compiled some flows in the system that I use for system recovery and anywhere remediation. This is what we will then also be able to see again in the mobile app of our solution. And then the fourth topic that I do in my data center is, of course, anywhere incident response and resolution with the DIRDAC Enterprise Alert System that you can see here in the fourth tab of my browser. So this is actually the web portal of our solution. We use it to actually integrate the solution into the HP stack that you have seen previously, but also to bake together some alerting and remediation workflows to manage and maintain the on-call calendars for automated alerting and after hours that Mathis was mentioning for the alerting pillar of the three-pillar concept from the product, and things like that. But then as far as the end user and the engineer perspective goes, this is actually experienced mainly through our mobile app, which is available for smartphone platforms that you should see here in the window as well, here on my iOS device. And my plan is to actually walk you through some key concepts in the backend, to introduce you to how I have baked my demo scenario together in the backend of our solution, but then to let my system fail that I monitor in this scenario with HP Network Nodeman. So I will let a device fail that is monitored here. And then, we want to actually look at how the engineer in after hours is alerted, how we can actually respond from anywhere to that alert, and how he can actually collaborate about that issue and resolve it from within the mobile app through the HP systems. All right, so in the backend portal of our solution, what I would like to focus on is the on-call calendar ability and automated alerting primarily. So there's a lot of other things that we can certainly do here. Before I show you on-call calendars, I want to briefly give you an idea of how we connect to the systems from HP. It's configured under system here, and then for us it's an event source. So these systems give us data, incident information, be it an incident in SM or a key incident in Nodeman or a message or an event from OMi. We integrate to all these systems, as you can see here. I have a lot of blue tiles. That means there's connectors that are actively watching and querying these systems for new incident information. And then it's about actually working with teams and service groups here in the solution, and managing who should actually receive which kind of information. So managing availability and responsibility rate. Availability is on-call calendars that we actually provide for each service team. So the idea is that there is teams responsible for network devices, there's other teams responsible for application performance monitoring, database systems, whatever services or systems you operate and how that is organized. But these teams have actually on-call calendars, on-call schedules, how we call them. And I have a network team here in this environment who maintains such an on-call calendar for after-hour availability. And you can see and get a glimpse of how that is supposed to work out. There is a calendar, and my team members are displayed here on the left-hand side, and I can easily make people available or responsible in after hours simply by dragging and dropping them into this calendar here. So thereby I define who should actually receive alerts in after hours or even on a 24/7 basis, depending on the customer's policies and requirements. So it's done by drag and drop. We can actually make people responsible on a primary layer, and also we can define backups. The idea here is that we escalate onwards to backup people should the primary person does not respond. So if there is no response from the primary on-call person, then we actually escalate to the backup in this case. Just to give you an idea of how we escalate from one person to another. As on-call management and scheduling is usually a bit dynamic as people get sick or have personal appointments. We have added a lot of capabilities to handle that pretty conveniently. So in case there is someone who is not available all of a sudden, then yeah, we can easily reflect that in our system by drag and drop again. Exchanging people who are responsible for a particular day, or even working with stand-ins who are more supposed to be a temporary override on a specific time of a day where people are maybe in workshops or otherwise busy and cannot look at these incidents in the environment that they are mainly responsible for. There's a lot of more features here that I could talk about. Especially the on-call rota is fully flexible. It can be on a 24/7 basis, or we can reflect each rota that your customers may have. Here you can see an example for after-hour only duty. In this case, we would not send alerts that occur in business hours in case your engineers are working with the HP consoles in business hours anyways. That makes no sense. So there's different templates and notification times that you can apply for public holidays and things like that. So availability and responsibility is a huge topic in the product. But let me go onwards here and give you an idea of how we can now automatically notify these responsible people in case there is issues reported by Noteman. In the software, we do that with rules, with workflows that we call alert policies. So you can see that tile here. And these policies manage targeted notifications that Mathis was talking about as well. So you can create as a lot of policies as you want to. And the idea really is to route the right kind of alerts and incidents or notifications to the right team. So you can see there is one policy that ensures that network problems are sent to my network team that you have seen. You can create a lot of policies, what I told you, and in each policy you can set up criteria. Criteria that must be met on all the data that we pull out of your HP systems in order to really result in alerting and notifications to the selected destination. And you can see here I fetch only or look only at data that comes in from Node Manager, which actually classifies these kind of data for my network team that you have seen. But when we go onwards here and have a look to the conditions, then you can see there's full access to all the details of the data that we retrieve from the HP system. In this case, it's Node Manager. You can see there's full access of all the details that then a key incident in Noteman has, and I can use it for setting up my criteria with which I ensure that I only route critical stuff to my after-hour people on duty. And that it is really a network problem that I communicate to this network team. And when you create now additional policies, maybe that are also active for OMi, and you isolate more applications that failed or performance that is not okay, then you notify a APM team, or when you actually ensure with the criteria that you work with database incidents, then you would select as destination a database team. But I, of course, selected my network team, of which we have seen the duty schedule previously, and I told the software with the policy configuration here that I really want the software to check the on-call calendar that we have seen and to send the alert to the person on duty first. There's different workflows that you can apply also at different times, maybe doing group kind of alerts in business hours only, etc., etc. Then you can fine-tune the alerting process itself. Here to mention especially the acknowledgement time limit each user has. So this is the response time that each user has until we escalate further to a backup or manager, right? You can also adjust the channels that we use. And finally, you can compile the message itself that is being sent or read on a phone call that the user receives. So it is multimodal notifications, and this message here is compiled with data that we orchestrate from the HP system. So you can see yellow boxes here that we then compile together to the incident message that we communicate and read or can see in SMS text messages or on the phone, and it really can contain data as it comes from the monitoring environment, in my case NodeMan. I can fine-tune how the app displays this incident then by checking only meaningful information from the HP system that is meaningful to me in after hours. The rest can be excluded. And finally, and this is especially important for the remediation part and the remediation pillar that Mathis was talking about, I am able to actually associate remediation actions that we call recommended remote actions here to this particular kind of issue. Yeah, I have prepared and created these actions previously in another section in this portal, where I actually queried all available flows here in my HPOO system. These flows is what I have imported previously into operations orchestration. And then I have a connection to this HPOO system and mapped selected flows to be available for selected users. Yeah. And then as a final step, I associated the right kind of flows to the right kind of problems. And you can see I have created a node restart flow, which is supposed to actually reboot that network device here. And that is supposed to fix then the problem for me from anywhere, just from within the mobile app. There's some ability to actually orchestrate the bits together, right? So you can see such a remedial action can take arguments and parameters, which can be, again, data from the monitoring solution, which makes it pretty convenient. And lets me restart with a one-touch action the particular node that failed, by looping through IP addresses or DNS names, as you have seen it here. And you can also automatically run them. And here I have set up a scenario where I find it useful that the alerts that are raised to my after-hour employees are also locked in the CMDB system. So everything that I regard as worth waking someone up in after hours is something that I want to have in the CMDB and in my service manager system as well. So that's why we experience here in this demo a data flow path from monitoring to our solution, anywhere response and resolution, and then to the mobile user, to the engineer, and at the same time to the ITSM system. As Mathis mentioned, that can be played differently, where you route everything straight to service manager, and then you would maybe only work with service manager policies, but this is something that depends on each customer's preference, I'd say. All right, with that, that's actually it. I don't want to bother you with more key concepts here in this web portal. With that, I would like to let a system fail, to manipulate my device and let it fail, and then we will actually see how my monitoring system, Node Manager, detects that, and how Enterprise Alert will kick off a new alerting workflow. So we will see automated alerting to myself here in the mobile app. So I am member of the network team, and I am currently on call. So this is my after-hour dashboard, so to say, in the iOS app, and then we will see how I can respond to that. So my device that is displayed in that network topology here in NodeMan is just a network card for demo purposes. You should imagine it being a router or some supercritical component in your environment that should not fail, and if it is not responding or has performance issues, then you would definitely want to know that. And so it takes a couple of seconds until there is a key incident created in result to my deactivated network card in Node Manager. And then at the same time, it should not take too long until Enterprise Alert has pulled that incident from NodeMan and triggers the policy that I walked you through, because there is a criteria match on the characteristics of the incident that we receive or query from NodeMan.
Can't kill that network, Renee.
Sorry?
You can't kill the network.
It's just the dummy nick, you know, so it should be fine.
There you go.
So here we go. Network is affected, and now let's hurry up here. We can track the alerting process. So tracking and escalations can be tracked in the web portal. Yeah, and simultaneously we should see the new push notifications and messages being issued to the mobile app user as he is logged in. All right, so this record has now been created as the policy trigger to that data that came in from HP Network NodeMan, right? We can track it in the portal, but also the mobile experience, which I actually messed up to show you in a pretty cool way, because the push notification came in here. And then you can see I have mobile access to that record from HP, and we can also track it here in the back end. So when I open the details here, as the person on duty, you can see I have access to all the selected information from the incident in HP Network NodeMan. And then you can see that the record has already been looped forward to the SM system. So there's already the remote action of the incident creation that has been fired off automatically by Enterprise Alert. But still there's the acknowledgement missing from myself. And that is why the software is now applying multimodal notifications, right? And now it has escalated channel-wise and sent me an SMS text because I have not yet responded to that incident. So you can see I could respond replying by SMS text using this short ID and the keyword yes. Just to give you an idea of what channels we support and how these channels are used until someone has responded. But I will simply acknowledge this problem here using the mobile application, using just by tapping on that button, and that stops the whole alerting workflow. So you can see my feedback is displayed here. And now we should actually check two things. First of all, my monitoring environment. When we open the key incidents pane here, and you can see this record in the HP system that has been created. And there's also the information that I typed in the app that is annotated here, that is sent back to the originating system. This is what we call closed loop concept. So it's really two-way integration, and we update the status of these records here in the HP software and also annotate what happened to that incident and what the mobile or what the after-hour engineers actually are doing with that incident. So that information is sent back. Now, at the same time, I would like to prove that we have logged this incident in Service Manager, just by searching this incident, which has this ID that was reported back to me, the 10255. The 10255 was the result of that remote action, and this is really the tracking record that I have now in my CMDB, and you can see it's augmented with the DNS name of that particular node that failed. If I would have stopped this other network card that is in my topology, then we would actually get different incidents with different DNS or IP information here, right? So this is all highly dynamic, and can be really orchestrated up to a way where you achieve a level of great automation and you don't have to do much action when you are busy on Sundays or in evenings or in the middle of the night, right? Now, the remaining things to show here from my side is actually the sharing and collaboration experience and the remote remediation options that I have. So now imagine I have no clue what to do with that incident. Or I have the feeling that the root cause of that problem, of that network issue, resides in the responsibility domain of someone else, of another department from which I want to talk to the person on call. And I can use this on-call overview here, where I can easily get in touch with Hanno from our infrastructure services, or imagine database teams where you ask these folks if their systems are slowly responding and causing trouble here in our IT. maybe you have noticed when I select more people, we switch from phone call to one person directly from this device, from this iPhone, to a conference option where we actually manage and operate and kick off an ad hoc voice conference on the enterprise alert system, giving you the ability, or the engineer the ability to actually talk and discuss the problem with more than one person. So we believe the ability to share that problem and to discuss it with others can be a key for handling that incident effectively, right, and to reduce the downtime and to increase uptime then at the end. So you can see I can talk with my backup also directly, Melanie, in case I was working with her in business hours on these systems, etc., etc. Once I have an idea, and maybe she gave me the recommendation of a remote action that should do the trick, and she has prepared yesterday when just before she left the office, imagine, then I can do that. And these are now, again, the recommended actions that I associated to these kind of problems, you know. So I could investigate the problem just by pinging it again, or I can also, restart this network card again, or the device. At this point in time, you should think to scenarios where you reboot whole virtual machines maybe, or you kill or restart processes, Windows services, backend daemons that fail, maybe a web server that requires a restart, and things like that. You know, you can automate and script all these things, manage it with HP operations orchestration, and then make it available and see and notice how the right DNS name was actually filled as an argument again. So what I do is I ensure that I am authorized to kick this flow in HPOO off, and then when we demo switch to the run management here, then we should actually see the flow that has been kicked off at 39 minutes here, and should have activated me this network card again. So you can see it's active again. So the flow is actually pretty quick. I use PowerShell to enable it again. And now after a couple of moments, you can see here the push notification and the app comes in immediately telling me that the problem has been resolved, right? So my remedial action did the trick. And all what happened is that Nodeman has discovered this node being online again as a result to the flow that I executed from the app. And this information is also retrieved by our integration to the HP components. And then we identify and query the corresponding alert workflow that we've opened, and simply update the timeline here and indicating to the mobile user that it was closed in a third-party system, and that perfectly for him proves that his remediation action did the trick, and that his systems are up and running again. You can see there's a time indication, and we know now that it actually took me 6 minutes to recover my network again from the time Nodeman discovered it, and we kicked off alerting to these on-call people. All right, so this is just one version of scenarios that we can actually implement and run. I hope this gives you an idea of what's possible with us and HP systems. With that, I would like to hand it back to you, Rocky, and then I think we can start making the session here more interactive, right?
Great. Thank you, Renee. Show my screen. Okay. So we have a polling question, and it's a chance to win $200 gift cards, which is always beautiful, and it's an Amazon card, which means you can be anywhere in the world and you will get this. So the question is, what value add does DeerDeck alerting and anywhere response solution provide for HPE, ITSM, and BSM customers? And I guess you can check any of these things. And Anne-Marie, go ahead and open the poll question.
It's open now, and you can enter your votes or your answers, and you can choose from the IT monitoring app-enabled incident troubleshooting, remedial, and automation, or mobile alerting with tracking, escalations, and on-call management, effortless capturing of on-call alerts in the CMDB, or mobile IT assets management.
And we'll give that a minute or so. But, in the meantime, while Renee's been talking, Matas has been answering a lot of your questions. So there was just a ton of questions that have come through, a lot of interest in the product. So I'm glad that this was a successful presentation for you. So, and let's pull up. Go ahead.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, and I haven't even demoed all the capabilities, so
sure.
That's cool.
Well, and hopefully people, by opting in here, they'll want to ask more information to you guys directly, and you can set up demos with everyone. So that's the whole goal. But so let's take a look at the results, Anne-Marie. And again, I can't see them, so.
Okay, the IT monitoring is 50%, and then we have 70% for the second one. The third one has 90%, and effortless capturing of on-call alerts is 40%, and mobile IT asset management 20%.
So what was the biggest one?
The biggest one was mobile alerting with tracking, escalations, and on-call management. That was 90%.
Okay, and that makes sense because that's what the whole presentation was about. So taking advantage of the existing HPE tools to gather information and making sure there's a way to forward these alerts and messages to a mobile solution. And, some of the questions that we were getting beyond like pricing, but was, I'll just kind of point out a few here is, can you integrate directly with a service management tool, whether it's HP's or anyone else's, or do I have to go through an OMi type thing? And the answer is no, they can go directly to, a specific SM tool or monitoring tool and work directly. And it can act as a single pane of glass, if you will, for messages that are coming from remote or from various sources and act as the messaging consolidator, if you will. So some great questions. And Anne-Marie, do we pop these questions into the recording?
Yes, they will be visible there.
Okay, great. Because there was just a lot of good questions, and we won't have time for them to bring up verbally at this point. So that's great.
And I'm gonna make you presenter again, Rocky. Hang on.
Oh, I wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, you were, but the slide or the poll question, the result was still showing.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Got me? Okay, so again, more information from the DeerDAC team, opt-in. I think there was an opt-in when you're registered, but you can also opt in at any time to get information from them. There's information here. It'll be on the slide deck when we send you, so thanks again from the DeerDAC team. So we're coming to, we've got about 15 minutes or so. Oh, you bet, guys. Thank you. We've got about 15 minutes or so to kind of talk about anything APM related. And again, along with every piece of marketing that we do right now is to encourage you to join Discover and attend the Discover events in Vegas. And this year it's going to be in London again as well. So if you've got money in the budget, this is the best way to help grow your career, network with your fellow peers, learn what's new from all these solutions. And DeerDAC usually has a booth there. Will you have a booth this year?
Yes, we did. We're also going to do, as it looks, we might be doing quite a great session too with a customer, but it's not 100% sure yet. But okay. Yes.
No, that sounds great. So make sure you can click on the Vivid link here, and you get a $300 discount on the Discover Pass. And if you decide to go, please use the Vivid booth as your place to hang out in between sessions. It kind of reminds me of the college union where in between classes you go hang out at the student union. We're kind of that for Vivid members. People network, they learn from each other. You may find people from your chapter if you're part of a chapter, so take advantage of that. See what else I got. So with that, if there's questions, feel free to ask them. We've got HP staff on call here as well to answer any APM-related question. And again, we'll plan to do our next event in the next month or so as well.
There's another question coming on the around whether there's training available for the DIRDAC solution. So, Mathis, I'm assuming the answer is yes.
Yes. I was just about to write something. Yes, sure. We have different models. For customers, we either do like an on-site training or remote training, so train the trainer principle. Besides that, there's also something that we usually do offer to partners, which is more like a general product training or self-paced training. But we can provide that to any person. Right, so it's not limited to partners, but it's usually to qualify and certify partners, but in general on the product and how it works.
I don't think
it's an online course, basically.
I don't think Mathis can type fast enough to answer all these questions.
Yes. I'm speedy mode here.
Mathis, there was one question early on where your answer was that we could ask René about fetching instructions. So, bearing in mind that we're almost at the end of this anyway, is it worth asking René? So the question was, can the system read instructions attached with a message in OMi, accessing the knowledge base or whatever it's called in Microsoft SCOM or equivalent?
Probably, maybe not out of the box, but there's techniques that we can actually use with the product to make this happen. Yeah, so I would have to check if it is built in and available with the connector. Yeah, but definitely there is some options that we can use to customize the product and to access that data as well.
Well, I know that. I mean, we have done some implementations on actually connecting to a CMDB or with the idea of enriching alerts with additional information, right? So besides having access to all these parameters and values of a monitoring or help desk system or service management system, right, which we can then populate onto the mobile app or compile a message for texting or voice call out of it. We can also then always, in the process of assembling this alert, do an enrichment. So we can basically do web calls or query a SQL database or whatever customized solution you might have for your CMDB, and then get information out of that system and then use that information to enrich the alert message or to add additional parameters or change parameters. So I remember a very basic example of one of our customers where we simply had to translate an IP address into a DNS name, right? So very basic, but I also recall a system where we or a solution or configuration where we really added quite some big texts from a CMDB to an alert and enriched that alert. So various options actually are possible. So it's you can actually build a lot around the system with scripts and everything. So you can really deeply customize it.
So without putting words in your mouth, if the data's there somewhere, then the answer's probably yes.
Absolutely, that's correct.
Okay. There's a couple of other questions, and I'm going to ask them to you because I know you haven't had time to type the answers. What about scalability? Are there any key numbers that you can share?
Actually, the software has the capability to actually scale on a node basis. So there's clusters that you can build. Yeah. So what we have seen in my demo is just one instance of the solution, But if the usage grows or the volume of alerts that you run on the solution grows, then you can actually attach more nodes and distribute then that traffic across these nodes. So there's definitely options to scale the solution if the volume of data it needs to handle and process grows.
Okay. And I suppose a related question here, what about event storms? Do you have a process for trapping storms? And Matthias just answered it, so, but I'll let him read his answer.
Yeah, sure. Yes, there are various ways of how we do that. So we have a duplication check, so we can detect duplicates or, let's say, related events or similar events. So it's not correlation, because sometimes vendors claim to do correlation, but correlation is a very sophisticated thing, and mostly it boils down to duplicate detection or defining similar events. We can do that, but as a much harder measure, so to say, to protect the end user, so the person that is on call. We have something that we call a flood protection, which basically means that from a certain point on, let's say you have more than 5 alerts within a minute, we go into a mode where we say we send one last alert telling the person on call that there's something going on and he needs to check. So we avoid having a stack of 200 voice calls on his mobile or 500 SMS text messages. And we stop sending out those alert messages and giving him the options to work it in a different way, right? So there are various levels of managing floods and alerts, but it is no true correlation of, let's say, 500 different sources and an integrated root cause analysis, because that would much go beyond the scope of what we do, right?
Okay.
But it's very effective, what we have implemented so far.
Yep. Okay. The question here before you answer it. So, what mobile platforms are supported?
Basically, all the 3 major ones, right? So, iOS, Android, and Windows Phone.
Okay.
And those are native apps, so for various reasons. So they are not like HTML5 website or something. It's native apps.
So I think we've got one. I think we've answered this one. But can the tool open incidents in a ticketing system directly from OMi? Example as a replacement to the OML remedy spy. So I think you answered a similar one earlier on.
Yes, it can. So it can file these incidents in these systems from the monitoring. This is actually what I've demoed as well, so where I retrieved an incident from Nodeman. The same can be applied when the original incident is being retrieved from OMi, and then we can actually register or create that incident in a IDSM system.
Yep. Okay. And then I think the last one that's not answered, does the feedback to NNMi overwrite the notes of an alarm if someone has already put information about the alert?
No, I think these notes are added always. They are not replaced.
So it's an append rather than a replace.
It is appended, yes, that's correct.
Yep. Okay, well, that's the last of the unanswered questions. No, it's not. It says we've answered this from an event source perspective, but can the ITSM knowledge base articles be presented or links to them?
Yes. Yes, links to them can be presented to the mobile users. So when we embed these links that point to your to your knowledge base in your IDSM system, within these alert policies, where we compose the message with these dynamic fields that you have seen, and there's definitely techniques where you pre-format a URL pointing to that knowledge base information, and then the mobile user is able to actually tap on that URL and link, and then to read that information also on the mobile app.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for moderating the questions. And again, I'd like to tell the audience that if there's anything that you would like the APM practitioner call to bring out or discuss here in the future, if there's topics that are burning a hole in you that you're trying to get some answers from HPE about, feel free to send us a note. We work very closely with the product teams, at least I do. All these webinars and e-blasts and things that come to you are coming through the work that I do with Vivid. So I know these people personally, and I can try to bring some of these, if there's concerns or issues, or where's the direction of this product going, so that I can determine what my upgrade path is and how to prepare for it for next year's budget, things like that. Just send it to us, and we'll try to address it. So, and again, last call for questions. We've got another minute or two. We could take advantage of the opportunity. If you have a question, we could try to address it. And again, it can be anything APM related, and go from there. So, and, and another thing I'd like to say is that as APM practitioners, people in the space, if we're trying to grow the Vivid community, as you can tell, obviously, through both virtual as well as physical. So if there are local chapters in your area and they need kind of kick in the butt to activities for you to network in, please share that with us. If you're interested in becoming a chapter leader, it's great for you personally. You get to network with the HP folks. You get to know the customers in your area, fellow users, and it's a great way to learn from each other. And we have got a great training program to create leaders out of you, and just a lot of great networking. So we're always looking for leaders, and whether it's states in the U.S. or countries around the world, we've got about 150 volunteers, so it goes a long way. Let's see, I think we have a couple more questions, maybe?
There's one more that's around regional scalability of DIRDAC. Says clustering and HA. So Mattis has just answered it. So.
Yes. Yes. I don't know if I get the time to speak. That's why I'm writing it down. Yes, those options. So we can do clustering as well as classic high availability. So active passive and active active. We also have the option for geo redundancy. So customers are implementing, let's say, a high availability cluster on one side and the second high availability cluster on another side. So there's for instance one large gas supplier, natural gas supplier here in Europe, like a nationwide network, who, for instance, done it this way, and several others. So it really depends on what you want to do, but it's both possible. All the local high availability clustering and with a geo redundancy option.
Great. So two things. I know we're giving away a couple of $100 gift cards, and I think Anne-Marie will figure out how to do that, who won those for people that have attended today's session. And secondly, very important to Vivid is we have an board election, and these are people who have volunteered or want to volunteer their time to be on the board. So it's important that every Vivid member vote, because we have to have so many that do vote in order to make this happen. So there's a lot of qualified people. If you got the notice to vote, please vote. If you didn't, let us know, and we'll send you the link to the survey to vote on the various people running for the board. So I think with that, I don't think there's anything else we can share. And again, I want to thank the DIRDAC team for it became an hour of DIRDAC, which worked out great. And
thanks for giving us the platform.
No problem. We'll see everybody at Discover that can make it. And until next time, have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.